I never know what to say when people ask me what kind of music I like. Because that's a question you ask when you're trying to relate to somebody on some level, and I don't have a very popular taste in music. So I would usually just say, oh, I'll listen to anything, or something that suggests maybe I'm not that into music. But lately I've just been telling people I listen to terrible music because it's a little more accurate and it shuts them down. Not that I'm trying to shut people down, but it's like, if you're trying to relate to me, let's talk about something other than music, because if you shared my taste in music, you would not be trying to relate to me on this level, because what am I trying to say? People who like the music I like are not just gonna take a shot in the dark with anybody and say like, hey, what kind of music do you like? Maybe we like the same thing. The probability is so low that it's just not worth it. I mean, at least that's my approach. I don't ask people what kind of music they listen to. But there's this one guy at church who isn't put off by that, and it's kind of made me start to analyze my own taste in music. Which is what this video's about! I never really got into music until about middle school when my friend Matt introduced me to Weird Al. And it was funny stuff. So I bought up all these CDs that were parodying songs that I had never heard before. And so I would listen to it once for the initial humor of the song. But when I would hear the original song as something serious, there was this incongruous juxtaposition that most people experience the other way around. They usually hear the original song and then Weird Al's parody of it. But my experience was the opposite of that. Incongruous juxtaposition is by far my favorite type of humor. Unfortunately, parody music isn't a huge genre that you can explore. But I think there was something more than humor about having my expectations subverted that I really enjoyed. Around the same time, or maybe it was before. No, it was definitely before. Okay, so back in elementary school, I remember asking Mom where Walkmans came from, and she told me they come from Japan. And having already known that the advanced computer science of video games originated from the same country, my early views of Japan is that it was a highly advanced technological superpower. So naturally, in high school, when Napster came around and said, you have access to any type of music you want, I put in Japanese music. And what I found is that Japanese music wasn't just futuristic electronic sounding music, it was also steeped in tradition. And to me that was a cool contrast. So then I fell in with the wrong crowd in high school, and I was introduced to DDR music, which is a spectrum. It ranges from boring to cute to sensory overload. And I was kind of leaning towards sensory overload. There was something about how complex it was that really struck a chord with me. There's something about sensory overload that really intrigued me. And one day I was watching anime music videos and I found this clip. I distinctly remember watching this clip and being like, I need more of that. It was kind of a gateway to sampling and how you can take something familiar and turn it upside down and make it into something new. And I loved that. I loved finding something familiar waiting for me in a song where I couldn't recognize it all at once. Where you start to hear, you know, like the bass line or something, and you're just kind of like, that sounds familiar. It's right on the tip of my tongue. What is that? And then the vocals come in and you're just like, oh yeah! And then I found this guy named Renard who does more of that sampling and keeps that sensory overload aspect. And all of his music was free. Well, not all of it, but most of it was free. And so I was just like, yeah, this is my jam. And so I got into that for a while. That was pretty cool. And then I found Neil C. I don't know how to say his last name. I think it's Neil Ciceriga. But if I'm wrong, I'm not going to put that in the video.
Hi, I'm Neil Ciceriga.
And that was my introduction to mashup, where he was taking two familiar things, putting them together. But he was, I don't know, he was doing more than that. It was very heavy on taking something familiar, changing it into something new. It was very similar to parody music, because a lot of times it was funny. But not always. It wasn't always trying to be funny, and it didn't always have to be. It was, I guess, experimental in that nature, but most people just hate that. And then lately, vaporwave has gotten to be a big thing, which plays on my love of Japanese music. Wait a minute, I didn't even talk about Japanese music! I did talk about it, but I didn't talk about another thing that appeals to me about Japanese music is the Japanese language, because there's something familiar about hearing a language you don't understand. I don't know how to explain it any better than that. Something exotic and new that gives me that old familiar feeling is this juicy contradiction that I love. Vaporwave, okay. I was talking about vaporwave. And it plays on my love of Japanese music, the nostalgia of the 80s and 90s, and it's still got that organic, mechanical contrast to it that I also like. Also, music videos have a huge impact on the kind of music that I like, because I could not necessarily like a song, but then if I see the music video and it's cool, I'm like, oh, I love this song. Because I don't think music is solely an auditory experience, because even if there is no music video for a song, when you hear a song, your brain puts together images. So I don't really have a good answer for what kind of music do you listen to, because it's not necessarily a genre that I like. I think it's that contrast, familiar and new, organic sound of human vocals with the mechanical sound of machines. High chiptune sounds with like low juicy bass sound. High female vocals with also bass. I don't know. Or what other contrasts did I have? I had more contrasts. Or just the contrast of something that you think is predictable and then it turns into something else. Whether that's like a song you think you know and it's like mixed around and changed so that you can't anticipate it, or if it's just like a regular sounding song with a minor key change. That always gets me. I love that. Maybe I could just link people to this video and say, watch this, and if any of that resonates with you, we can be friends. Otherwise, don't talk to me. My early views on Japan were that they were a... My early views on Japan were what... I can't talk. My early views on Japan were that they were... Oh, that's confusing. Let me think of a better way to say that. My early views on Japan was that it was a... That sounds better, but I stopped myself because I was thinking about it. My early views on Japan is that they were a highly advanced technological superpower. There we go! Highly advanced technological superpower. Highly advanced technological superpower. My early views of Japan is that it was a highly advanced technological superpower. Why was that so difficult?